A top focus at this hour, the death of 3 Israeli hostages at the hands of Israeli defense forces has surely sparked concerns. It raises question over the safety of the remaining hostages amid Israel's continued offensive. Over 100 hostages are still held in captivity in Gaza. On Thursday, Israel revised the number of hostages alive in Gaza to 115. As per the reported figures, 132 hostages are with Hamas, but not all are alive. Hamas also holds the remains of 20 dead hostages. Israel has categorically denied to scale down the onslaught. This even as it is facing an increasing pressure from friends and foes alike to make sure no civilians are harmed. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan wrapped up his West Asia tour on Friday after meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. During the meeting with Netanyahu, Sullivan stressed the need of transitioning to lower intensity operations in the near future. He said it is not appropriate for Israel to occupy Gaza in the long term and discussed a timetable for winding down the intense phase of the war. Now, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant had stated it will take months to destroy Hamas and there is no fixed timeline yet. Sullivan also met Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Abbas told Sullivan that Gaza is an integral part of the state of Palestine and that separation or any attempt to isolate any part of it is unacceptable. Sullivan reiterated that the two-state solution would ultimately lead to a long-lasting path, a prospect that Israeli officials have contended. Now, Israel's next stages of the war are under the radar now more than ever.
I think it's an incredibly important moment, Eric, and I think it points to the enormous pressure that's growing on Israel domestically and internationally and on the U.S. And it's one of many tragedies that are unfolding in Gaza, including the killing of 8,000 Palestinian children. And I think you see that language coming in President Biden's comments about indiscriminate bombing. You mentioned Jake Sullivan's trip, too. I think part of that trip was really about how to shift Israel's approach in this military operation. You hear about more precise ways of targeting Hamas leadership. You see this trying to push for a less intense version of this military operation. I think one of the challenges, though, is as the pressure grows on both Israel and the U.S. to shift gears, there isn't a clear next step where you see an alignment growing out of Jake Sullivan's trip to Israel in terms of timeline, in terms of intensity, or in terms of how they're going to respond to this pressure.